Hey guys, today we're going to review the Hog Rider, the Prince, and the Dark Prince deck. It's Molt's favorite deck in the game, so I figured instead of reviewing it myself, why not bring him on the channel, and we'll talk a little bit about the deck. So guys, without further ado, here comes Molt, and enjoy. Alright guys, so we are joined by none other than Molt. Molt, what's going on, man?
Not much. How you doing, Ash?
I am doing great, man. Thank you for coming on and discussing this deck. I figured instead of breaking it down myself, why not have you on?
Yeah.
So, is this the new deck you're using now, the one that we just watched?
Yeah, so I've been using this one consistently and another one with an Inferno in it because, as I'm sure you've seen, there's one deck that people are crushing with that has Golem and Baby Dragons in it, and it's just dirty.
So, the one with the Prince, the Dark Prince, and the Hog, what is your thought process behind those three, combining those three, and then filling in the rest of the cards in the deck? Have you played around with cards? Are you comfortable where you are? Or?
I'm fairly comfortable where I am. I was replacing Poison in for the arrows, but I was hitting people with Goblin Barrel, and Poison Spell sucks against that. It doesn't tick fast enough. And then I'll switch out either archers or spear goblins for the goblins as well if I feel like I don't have enough range or like air defense, if you will.
Okay, so why don't you just walk us through your killer combination here? Like, what is your lethal combo? I'm imagining with all that speed, it's somehow like comboing both of the knights or with the hog.
Yeah, so you'll see a lot of people start off battles with both princes, and that's a big investment. If it gets countered, you're pretty much going to take a big hit from your tower. So I never do that. I always start off fairly slow. If I start off with the wizard in my hand, I'll drop it off at the back and let it kind of just build up and hang out. Sometimes it gets lightning, but honestly, I haven't seen people use lightning as much as they used to.
Yeah, me too. I noticed that.
Yeah, so generally I'm not too worried about that. So I'll drop that off towards the back, and then depending on what they counter with, because normally they'll drop that off at the back as well, then if it's barbs, then I'll drop off the Dark Prince. If it's something like a Baby Dragon or something along those lines, then once it gets up to the line, sometimes I'll drop off a hog with the goblins. And one thing that you'll notice people do a lot that is a huge error that really can turn tides in a game is when people rush their freeze spell. Like, they're like, I've got to get this freeze down. My hog only has one more hit.
Yep.
When you see that, you don't drop the freeze. You've got 2 more minutes or 2.5 more minutes. And when people rush that 4 elixir spell like that, it can really, really mess them up. I'm sure that you've experienced that. I always laugh because freeze the tower and nothing's there.
Yeah, I try to. If I can, I try to hold the freeze till a little later in the match just so the opponent doesn't even know I have it, so kind of take them by surprise later on. Do you do the same thing with the freeze, or you just kind of wait for the right moment when you know you have them?
I'll normally just wait for the right moment. I like using the princes on defense a lot of times because one of the most surprising things that people just can't seem to get their mind around is that when you defend and your troops stay alive, the time that they were there defending, you're just building up elixir. And like, I've had so many pushes even before double elixir that have the Prince, the Dark Prince, the Hog Rider, and like the minions all in it, and I'm still rocking like 4 elixir for defense if I need it.
Yep.
So using them defensively really does help because like I said, you can kind of let your elixir build up and get a strong push even if they're low on health. If I can get those goblins in front of the prince and he only has 2 shots left on him or something, then he'll be able to get to the tower and take off a good 500, 600 hit points before he goes down.
Absolutely, yeah. That's definitely a good point there, especially with the turning like a defense into an offense, especially with this deck because you have those fast-moving, all those units. Now, how do you play? How have you been playing the Dark Prince, like in comparison with a regular Prince?
So I use him to counter barbarians a lot. And I kind of feel him out to see what the other person has. Like, one of my biggest things, kind of like with blackjack or whatever, is like counting cards. Like, knowing what your opponent has is so key. Counting rotations, figuring out when things are going to come down. That one of my favorite things to do is predicting arrows against someone's defensive minion horde and just cracking up. Like, dropping off my Hog Rider, knowing they're going to drop the minion horde, launching the arrows,
ready,
and then they just drop it anyways. So, you know, just kind of, that's the way that I use the Dark Prince. Also with his shield, I think that it's a cool thing that can really be taken advantage of is no matter what the damage is, it's always going to just break his shield. So he can get hit by a P.E.K.K.A, he could get hit by the giant skeletons, bomb, whatever it is, and then he's still going to be full health. So if someone's coming at me with a P.E.K.K.A, then I'll try and get the Dark Prince in front so that the first hit is pretty much avoided. You know what I mean? It just gets rid of the shield, and then you can push from there. But I'll use him kind of as the tank in front of either the Prince or the Hog Rider, because people counter both of those with Spear Goblins or Goblins, and I think that I didn't like him at first. He was a little hard to deal with, but I'm really starting to like him, and I see his importance in the game now.
Yeah, you're starting to see a lot of him on TV Royale, meaning the top 100 players are using him a lot. He's in like almost every deck as I'm scrolling right now. It just so happens. So like, I know you were playing the Elixir Pump for a while. Have you dropped that out of this deck just because it doesn't fit that well, or?
Yeah, because that's more of a I'm such a high-paced kind of gameplay person, and you get there in double Elixir with the pumps, but you gotta wait your initial 3 minutes to build that up. It's hilarious when you have like 3 pumps down and you're mirroring them. I just can't sacrifice. Like, I don't know. I don't think that it works with this kind of strategy. I think that it works with golems or some kind of expensive deck. It's more for expensive decks in double overtime.
Exactly, yeah. So just before I let you go, Molt, if you wouldn't mind, what are your thoughts on the other new cards? Any of them you're liking, you're playing at all, or some you don't like at all?
The Princess I'll throw in every once in a while. Some people are calling her the new Expo, and I don't think that that's even a remotely close comparison. Yes, her range can be annoying, but you can take her down with arrows. I mean, she can focus your tower, and you can drop off 1 Elixir skeletons and take her out in a second. So I wouldn't compare her to that, but she does do a great job as well. If you don't want to have arrows in your deck, you can use her to take out minions. Her attack speed's a little bit slow. I don't think she's a game changer, which is why she isn't in my deck currently. The Ice Wizard he can be extremely frustrating if you have him behind a tank and you have some good damage in front. Ice Wizard is a great combo. It can take down a lot of stuff. He's actually really good for stopping that Prince rush we were talking about earlier with the Dark Prince and the Prince. If you can drop off, say, a Musketeer and him, or the Valkyrie and him, you can slow things down, and along with the help from your tower, you can do a good amount of damage with that. The poison spell, I think, is awesome. Some people are saying that it's a little bit OP, but I think because it takes time, it's not as OP as some people are thinking it is. Like I said, if I put it on a Goblin barrel, it's completely pointless. They'll still get off 3 hits or more and take off a good amount of damage. But I do think it's a good card when you're once you get stuff to their tower and you want to defend your offense. So like when I get hogs on there, I'll drop it off and they'll try and counter my hog with goblins, which is something I do. I always counter hogs with a goblin or with goblins, and he gets off 1 to 2 hits maybe. With that poison spell there, they're going to go down. So poison spell is really cool. I definitely enjoy it. I think the Royal Giant is just not even functioning in the game. I've tried using him. And
yeah, me too. I put a video out on the Royal Giant, and I'll be honest with you, I had to stretch it to make him look really useful.
Yeah.
I think he needs a little bit of buffing, perhaps.
Yeah,
you know?
It's a good idea. I like a tanky ranged unit. But he just is. I don't know what he's missing. It would take time to think about it.
He's missing some hit points, you know.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Because if you compare him to a regular giant, he's got like the same level. He's got essentially, because one's a rare and one's a common, but he's got like half or a little bit more than that. But it's a big discrepancy.
Yeah.
But I guess last question on this deck before I let you go is you're using minions, and I know that most people prefer minion horde. Is that strictly because of the cost of the deck, or do you prefer minions in general?
I prefer minions because people generally won't arrow them. You'll see people. I don't know. I think a lot of times people don't expect them to be as powerful as they are. Yeah. But minions are super strong by themselves. And if you can, I mean, if you drop off minions and goblins or something, you can take out a prince very easily, and your minions are still alive.
Yeah.
And so that's the best kind of thing. Like, yeah, it costs the same amount of elixir, but you defend it and you still have some more minions coming. So you can drop off barbarians underneath it, or a Hog Rider underneath it, and push with that. And just so many people, once you get to tracking the cards, like I was saying, and you know where their archers are or where their spear goblins are, whatever it may be, you can drop those minions off, and they'll do a good amount of damage to a tower or any troops that are coming in on yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I also like the minions. I've been switching back and forth, but been having a lot of success with them as well for the reasons that you mentioned. So, hey, thanks for coming on, man. I won't take up too much of your time, but I appreciate it, and good luck with the deck, and hopefully you get back to #1 sometime.
I'm gonna get there hopefully after the season's over.
Yeah, dude. Okay, well, thanks again, Molt.
No problem.
Take it easy.
Later.
All right, guys, so we're going to end it there. Thanks for watching, and thanks for Molt for coming on. Was a pleasure. Guys, take care. We don't play for fame, we don't play for cash. We just play for the glory and the crash of the ash.